We've been living in Austin for 2 years now, and we've been in this same apartment since we moved here. We've had plenty of time to kind of settle in and make it feel like home, so I wanted to give an updated apartment tour. I'm constantly moving things around and like changing everything, thrifting, especially being in quarantine right now. I have more time than ever to kind of like move everything, so I just wanted to give a little update, show what's thrifted in my apartment, and just take you around. Welcome to our apartment. So this is the first thing you see when you walk in. This is probably actually the part of the apartment that is my favorite. It's our camera wall. Bryan and I collect vintage cameras, and yeah, a lot of them belonged to relatives of ours that were handed down to us. Some of them we found at random antique stores, craft fairs. But yeah, it's just a really special wall. We took a lot of time to really make sure everything was in the perfect place. I also have some like vintage books on here. This is another thing that I kind of collect. I just pick them up a lot when I'm thrifting. I think that vintage books are probably one of like the best things you can use when staging or decorating your place, because you can pick really whatever colors that you want and then just add them in all that emptiness that you need to make look pretty. A lot of things on this shelf have a lot of like sentimental value to us, and it just makes me smile when I walk in. It's the first thing I see. This little area up here, we got all of these from different like thrift stores or antique fairs. But this one up here was actually a part of the camper that is now being converted into Hazel Coffee Co. So I like keeping it there because it just makes me smile, reminds me what I'm working towards, and how we're taking something that was unloved and giving it a second life. So that's what we are all about here. The kitchen next? The kitchen. Because we don't have too much in here. But this little section is usually where I make coffee in the morning. I've got some really cool pieces back here. These little bowls I thrifted in Michigan. And then these I love. I think they're just so timeless. I love like the wood, and the side says like sugar, flour, coffee. I think they're really cute. This one's usually full of coffee beans, but I actually have to restock today, so she'll be back up and running soon. This little pot was thrifted at a Savers in Austin. It was actually something I bought that I was gonna resell, but I put it up here and Bryan said he liked it, and I was so surprised that now it lives here and just looks cute and kind of decorates this whole situation a little bit. Coming over this way, these wooden salt and pepper shakers were thrifted in Michigan. And then I have these elephant ones that we do not use. They've actually been passed down in my family for years and years. So my grandma gave me those before we moved, and I like to kind of keep them safe tucked back here. These bowls in the back are absolutely one of my favorite antique finds. Bryan's mom got them for us also just before we moved for my birthday, and I adore them. I think they're the cutest thing. We've got this little guy that we just throw some fruit in. We also found this in Michigan before we moved, but that's really it. Moving into the living room. I know this foof chair is huge and takes up so much space, but we love it, and Scrappy loves it. It's great for when we have people over, so it's staying, even though it takes up space. This couch we found on Facebook Marketplace. It has a little pull out, so that's also really nice when we have people come stay with us. I have this table here, which was a DIY, a little flip of ours. It was all brown, and so we gave it a little bit of cream white paint and added some legs to it, and this is definitely like a forever coffee table. It will follow us everywhere. He is a crazy man. Scrappy. And he plays the floor as lava all day, bouncing from the couch to the foof chair to never touching the ground. So yeah, he likes our living room setup. This is the debatable ugly chair. It was my great grandma's and then my aunt's, and then she gave it to me right before we moved. Bryan hates this thing, but I love sitting here in the morning, enjoying my coffee. This is an actual like coffee bag that I just put over a pillow. So it adds to my little coffee corner, and I can look out into the greenery and the trees in the morning and sit on my laptop, and this has been my happy place. This is an old milk crate that we got from an estate sale. We just kind of keep some blankets in there, and it adds that little farmhouse feel to this corner. This trunk was another DIY of ours. We fixed it up, added some blue paint, which really just ties in the whole apartment, and it's actually Scrappy's trunk now. He loves sitting up here and just looking out at everything and barking at other dogs as they go by. So this has been just a really good spot for this for us. I do have all my little plant babies growing along the window here. They're surprisingly staying alive pretty well. I don't have much experience with plants, so I'm pretty proud of how far these have come, but we just leave them along this window, and every now and then I'll add more clippings to them, and hopefully this apartment will be taken over by plants one day. So this thing right here was actually made with lots of love by mostly Bryan and my dad and a little bit of me. That is also on this channel actually, how we made it. How this came about is Bryan really wanted this kind of open look, and we wanted it to be gray. We had like a very specific thing in mind, and we couldn't find one within our budget, so we decided we'd make one because that's what we do, and we love that. But yeah, this turned out really well. It's held up perfectly. We haven't had any problems with it, and it's really nice that we can kind of decorate the bottom however we want and kind of go with the seasons. We have another DIY. We are flippers. We love flipping, and I miss it so much because our workshop was in my parents' garage in Michigan, and we don't really have the space to do it here. So as I'm talking about these, I'm getting really nostalgic, thinking about all the things that we used to flip and getting excited to do it again one day. But this little box actually used to have rollerblades in it, or skates, something like that. And we found this at a garage sale of somebody who buys out estates and then just like keeps them all there, keeps all the things he finds in his property in Michigan. So yeah, we found this box. My uncle helped us to add some legs. She's very wobbly. We definitely could have built this a little better, but it's so cute that we just can't part with it, even though we sometimes knock it over, or Scrappy does. Moving into the bedroom, but first this little hallway. Yet another DIY is this little stand, which we made in Michigan, that happened to fit perfectly in this little space. It was just the cast iron part, and we added some pallet wood along the back, just give it like a more rustic feel, but this is also held up super well. I'm really proud of this one. Kind of forget we made it because it looks so good. This tray is something that Bryan found at an antique fair, and it was all his idea to just kind of throw our keys and like loose stuff in here, and it works really well for just those things that we really don't have a place for. This is a painting that I found right before we moved at a Salvation Army in Michigan, and this is the school that we went to, Central Michigan. It is Warner Hall, and it's a painting of it. But we are obsessed with our college, and so we love having this here. It just brings back all those great memories that we had there, and we can like keep the Chippewa in our hearts forever. So yeah, it used to be a wooden frame. We just gave it a little white paint, and I think this is so cool. I can't believe that it was just randomly mixed in with all the paintings there. Coming in to the bedroom now. We have our little twinkle fairy lights that were actually Bryan's idea. He's obsessed with lights, so they brought a lot of life to this space, which I'm really happy about. Another DIY that is a little bit different. This is probably one of the most creative things that I've thought of on my own, so I'm proud of this one, and maybe I'll make another one sometime, but yeah, this one means a lot to me. We have another pallet wood sign. We used to make a lot out of pallets, and then we would go to art fairs and sell them, and that's another thing I really miss. But this is one that we still had left over that we brought with us to Austin. So when we wake up in the morning, it's the first thing you see. It just kind of like sets the intention for the day. I love this quote, and it's just nice to have it right there. Along the wall here, we have some coffee bags that we found at a little antique store right across from Magnolia Market. Across from the silos, there's a little shop there. So we picked these up. I've gotten quite a few things from there that I've kind of flipped and made some stuff out of. So that's a really cute shop if you're in that area. Along this wall, we have a little map of Texas in a wooden frame, which I think is really cute. This is one of the first pieces that I found when we moved to Austin. You were?
Because you said, where would it go? And I said, on the wall by the bed.
Okay, apparently Bryan was with me and he found this. I feel like we remember this differently, but if you found this, good job, because I really like it. Hanging up here, this was another one of my great-grandma's pieces. It was actually a quilt, but it was really annoying every day to work with like the pull up and down blinds. So eventually I found this in one of our little trunks and just hung it up there. It lets just the right amount of light in the morning, and it's just thick enough to where nobody on the outside can see in. So we just leave this up at all times, and it kind of lets the natural light wake us up in the morning. I think it's really cute and adds a very like vintagey feel. Also, at the right time of day, you can see the shadows along the walls from the design in here, which just makes this space feel really homey. The stand that everything's on over in this corner, we found in the trash in Michigan. My little makeshift nightstand is actually a military chest that we found in the apartment complex here in the dumpster, well, right outside of it. So I think that's super cool. It has so much history. I love trunks, if you can't tell. They are all over the apartment. And the last room is the office, which if you really want to see a full dive into that, you can head to this guy's channel and he'll give you a tour over there. This is kind of his space. I don't really have control over what happens in here design-wise. This is the room that is all him. All I really have going on in here is this little corner. Back here, I've got some of my favorite books. Picture with my bestie, and yeah, a monitor I don't really use, but Bryan set it up for me, and my little Hazel inspiration over here. But he can show you more of the office. This is his space. So that is our apartment and what's thrifted in it currently. I'm sure there are a few things I've missed along the way. Always sharing on my Instagram new thrifted finds. Well, when the thrift stores open back up again, I will be. So you can follow me there to see more. But yeah, we are really happy with the way this space has turned out. It feels really like homey farmhouse, which is exactly what we were going for, while still kind of having that like vintagey touch. But yeah, this place definitely feels like home now, and we are excited to, I don't know what I was gonna say. Hope you enjoyed the video.